Hey everyone, I'm Kyle. Welcome back to another video. So, last week, if you saw my video, we went to the Badlands Off-Road Park in Indiana, and I learned something from that trip, so let me show you. So I knew from my flex tests that I had some amount of rubbing on the rear fender here, but I did not know how bad it was. And what I found out was that when I was flexing, this tire was grabbing this plastic right here, and you can see pretty significantly bending it away from the tire, or from the fender. So if you can imagine, that was not a very pretty noise. My wife didn't like it at all. I knew what was happening, but it did not pull the fender off the truck. Just bent it there. So what we're gonna do today is kind of the same process that we did on the front. We're gonna pull this plastic fender off. We're gonna cut metal, drill new holes for the fender to pop into, and put it back in place. So I'll just kind of walk you guys through. You'll get to follow along as I do it. You can see on this side, we actually didn't get into it very much. So that's what it used to look like. What it should look like is what it looks like on this side now. So I do not think that this is something that requires taking the tires off. I think I have enough room to work there and do what I need to do. But just to give myself a little extra room, I have put 2 jack stands under the bumper and taken some of the weight off of the rear tires. Probably gave myself 4 or 5 inches more space to work in here. But the tires are still touching the ground. I have the front tires chalked and 2 jack stands on the rear bumper. So should be enough space to work. Let's go. All right, so I have some good news to share with you guys. On the other side, I just finished doing the other side, and once I got this plastic piece off, I saw how far back the actual metal was, and I made the decision that I'm just going to cut plastic and not cut any metal. Well, I'm not going to cut any of the body metal. I'll show you the one bracket that I will be removing. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this off. What it's going to be is a T15 there, one there, one on this side, and then one of these little pop things on the bottom. So 4 clips, and then the rest will just be the pop clips on the fender. I forgot to mention this one screw farther back in here. This is actually one piece. These two pieces of plastic are kind of glued together in here. So you're gonna have to remove that one screw as well. All right, so here we have the fender off the vehicle, and I'll show you where I'm gonna cut. I'm going to follow this line down, right? Keep this screw and cut right outside of that screw, and where it hits the bottom, I'm gonna take that straight out. So now with the fender flare off, you're able to see back in here. Oh, now this is weird. I did the other side without filming anything, expecting to come over here and show you the exact same thing. And on this side, the body stops here, and there was a black bracket right here that came down to make this attachment point right here. This black bracket came down, bent out, and was right here. And that obviously looked out of place. So that is the metal that I cut on this side. On the passenger side, it appears there's actually more metal. There's more of this red fender metal, and this attachment point that was a bracket on the other side is actually part of the body on this side. So that's really interesting. And now I have to decide if I leave it or cut it. All right, so I thought about it for a few minutes, and I'm gonna leave it. I think it might be noticeable. You might see this clip and be like, oh, there's nothing screwed into that. he modified this in some way. But I think a couple people that are really looking close, having that thought is probably the better option than cutting metal that I don't have to, because that should not ever be in the way of tire clearance. So I'm gonna leave that and we'll see how it looks when I'm done. All right, so now it is done. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. There's nothing that I need to paint, no metal cut. That is what it looks like in there. So yeah, I would admit it looks a little modified, but I think the whole truck kind of looks a little modified. So the only thing to do now is to get some ramps under it, do a full flex test, and see if we achieved the clearance that we need. All right, so we are fully flexed out. We got just about 1/2 inch of space. You'll see, I'll compare this to fully flexed before the trim. You'll see that here. And we are off the ground on this side. So this is 28 inches. So if anyone's wondering, 28 inches will put a ZR2 on 3 wheels. And if you want to fit 34's, this is all the trimming you have to do in the rear. Just plastic, no metal.